So my question is to the Minister for Education, Training and Skills. Can the Minister advise the House whether there will be a teachers' strike on the 9th of November, the fourth day of Year 12 exams?
Minister.
Thank you, Speaker, and I thank the member for Morialta for his question. Of course, my answer is that I very much hope not, and I have said from the outset, as we have entered into this enterprise bargaining process with the Australian Education Union, that I didn't think there was any need for industrial action at any stage. We had a strike in term 3, and since that strike date, the government provided another offer. That is 2 offers that we have formally put to the union now. The second one larger than the first, and I think the first would have been a record sum total, if you like, of about $1.3 billion across the life of the agreement. And I've also said on every occasion that I have been asked, which is very regularly, that the negotiations have been taking place in good faith. They have been positive, despite what might be reported or focused on by the general public. A lot of the work behind the scenes to agree on clauses around things that are of great importance to our teachers have got closer and closer, and a lot of those are resolved. But of course we are now at the pointy end, you might say, and focusing on salary. And both the Premier and myself and the Treasurer as well have made it clear on a number of occasions when asked that what the union is putting forward as its position, which is a salary increase of 8.4%, Mr Speaker, in the first year of a new agreement, is just not something that is possible in terms of what the state budget can afford. I've been, I think, very frank from day one in this role. In fact, I think in the first week of being the Minister for Education, I said publicly that I acknowledge that classrooms have become more complex places over the last probably few decades. Workload has increased. There is a need to pay our teaching workforce more to bring us up that league table in terms of where they sit compared to other teachers around the nation, and we need to deliver a workload reduction, of course, because we have an issue in terms of retaining the existing workforce. That issue is not specific to South Australia. It is a national, if not national issue that we face, and a part of being able to retain that workforce and attract the next generation of teachers are issues which are now central to the EB that we are negotiating. So my specific answer to the member from Morialta, Speaker, about whether there is going to be a strike again, and as the member from Morialta correctly identified during Year 12 exams, I certainly say there is no need for that. I don't think it will further the union's case, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of other members of this place that it would be unfortunate to have a strike at a time which is so critical, not just for those South Australian students who are undertaking Year 12 exams, but of course also their families, because it's a very stressful time for them as well. Putting all those things aside, I reiterate to this place, negotiations have remained positive. Both parties have remained at the table from start to finish, and I am confident that we can actually come to agreement and deliver that pay increase to our staff, deliver that workload reduction to our staff, so that we acknowledge the work that they do, the importance of their work to our society, so that we can retain the existing workforce and send a really positive message to young South Australians who might be thinking about a future in teaching, that is something that we value and that we prioritise.
Of Morialta.
To the Minister for Education, Training and Skills. Does the government's offer in relation to the Education EB include support for principals? And with your leave and that of the CAS, I'll explain.
Leave is sought as leave granted. Of Morialta.
Thank you. During the last EB, principals had an extra % on top of the other staff pay rise in recognition of the particular challenge of recruiting principals to those positions, a challenge which still remains today.
Minister.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank the member for Morialta for the question. It is a very good question, and he is right. And if we look at those extra complexities, the things that have got more difficult in the job over the last few decades, I think you can also make the same case and the same point in terms of the leaders of our schools, of principals. It is certainly, and this has been the case for many years, harder to attract people to put up their hand and become a principal. A lot of people see it as taking on a great deal of extra stress and work. I would point particularly to changes in society across the last 25 years, Mr Speaker, around the rise of things like social media, but you can add to that things like vaping as well. Last week, the member for Cheltenham and the Minister for Health joined me as we made a pitch to ban these incredibly unhealthy energy drinks as well. All these things that weren't around even when I finished high school at the end of 1999 are now new things, new problems, new things and new problems that are heaped on the plate of our principals to deal with, on top of the things they have to do anyway. So in addition to the work we have to do to make sure we can retain and attract new classroom teachers, the member for Murray-Alta is correct that we have to do something as well to make sure that we can do the same can be said for principals. And we are proposing in the current offer of the enterprise bargaining agreement a 1% increase to the Band A leaders. That is already in the offer that we are putting. And there are some things in terms of workload reduction for principals and leaders as well. I would point specifically to changes we have proposed as an election commitment, which we are working on now, around the Inclusive Education Support Program, which is money for students with disability. There are 9 steps of that. We are proposing to make sure that the first 3 steps, if we can get agreement, will actually be able to be certified or signed off by the school instead of going through the application process at head office, which is time-consuming for the teacher or the principal filling out the application, time-consuming as well for staff in 31 Flinders Street to do that, who could be spending their time doing other important work. So we are approaching this question of what we do to support existing principals and actually inspire other classroom teachers to put their hand up and want to be a principal as well, both with a financial incentive and also a workload reduction as well, Mr Speaker.